There are houses that simply age, and there are houses that remember. This is the story of the Blackwood House, an abandoned Victorian mansion standing at the edge of a forgotten cemetery. For more than a century, neighbors have whispered the same warning. Do not go inside after dark. Do not answer if something calls your name. The property was built in 1894 by industrialist Edmund Blackwood. He lived here with his wife Margaret and their only child, a little girl named Elise. On a winter night in 1907, Elise vanished from her bedroom. No broken window, no open door, only a single small shoe left on the basement stairs. Margaret died 3 months later. The official record says pneumonia. The people who lived nearby said she wasted away talking to an empty chair. Edmund sealed the house and left. He never returned. Since then, every family that tried to live here lasted less than a year. In 1952, a young couple moved in. They lasted 11 weeks. They reported footsteps on the stairs when the house was empty, cabinet doors that opened by themselves, a child's laugh from the attic. In 1978, a rental family woke to find every photograph in the house turned face down. The next morning, the glass over an old family portrait was shattered, exactly over the faces. In 2004, paranormal investigators spent a single night inside. Their audio recorders captured a whisper, a small voice saying, "She's still here." Their cameras captured orbs drifting through empty rooms. One investigator swore a pale face watched him from the nursery window. Tonight, we walk the house again, through pictures, through testimony, through the silence that should not speak. Look at the exterior first. The mansion leans into the fog like it is listening. Windows like black mouths, vines climbing the porch as if they want to pull the building back into the earth. Behind it, the cemetery never sleeps. Crooked stones, names worn away. On certain nights, people claim they see a small figure moving between the graves, then disappearing toward the house. Step inside. The hallway is long and peeling. A single bulb hangs from the ceiling. At the far end, something stands. Not clearly, not fully, just enough of a shape to make your mind invent the rest. Investigators say the temperature drops 10 degrees in this corridor. EMF meters spike for no electrical reason. Dust hangs in the air as if the house is holding its breath. Doors open here without hands. An old wooden door, swollen with age, will drift inward when no one is near it. You hear the latch click, you hear the wood complain, then you see the darkness on the other side, waiting. The staircase is worse, wooden steps that remember every foot that climbed them, floating lights, tiny pale orbs that rise and fall like they are breathing. On the wall, a handprint, too small for an adult, too dark to be dust. Some say it is rust, some say it is not. Go up and you reach the bedrooms. In one room, a figure in white hovers above an empty bed, a woman, or the memory of a woman. Long hair, empty eyes. She does not look at the camera. She looks past it, as if someone is standing where you are sitting now. In the child's room, the wallpaper rabbits have faded into ghosts of themselves. A porcelain doll sits upright on the bed. Toys lie scattered as if a game stopped in the middle. Residents claim the rocking horse moved at night, soft, back and forth, back and forth. When they entered the room, it was still. One investigator placed a ball on the floor and left the room. The camera kept rolling. 3 minutes later, the ball rolled toward the closet. The closet. Never ignore a closet that stands slightly open. In this house, pale fingers have been seen among the hanging coats. Not reaching, just present. As if something was deciding whether to come out. The bathroom mirror has its own legend. Condensation appears when the room is cold and dry. Then a word is written from the inside of the glass. Help. Always the same word. Always in the same shaky letters, as if a child is pressing a finger against the other side of the world. Downstairs, the kitchen waits in ruin. Cabinets hang open. Plates lie broken on the floor. A single candle burns in photographs even when no one admits to lighting it. People hear cutlery slide across wood, a cupboard slam, then nothing. The living room contains a clock that should not matter. It is old, webbed, stopped. Witnesses say that no matter how many times it is wound, it returns to the same hour, the dead hour, the hour when Elise was last seen. Beside it, a dead television still flickers with static. In 1986, a squatter claimed faces formed in that snow. He left before sunrise and never spoke of the house again. Then there is the attic. A rocking chair sits beneath a small window. Moonlight cuts through dust like a blade. The chair has been filmed moving with no draft, no vibration, no person. Slow, patient, the way a mother might rock a child who is no longer there. Trunks line the walls. Inside one of them, searchers found dresses for a little girl and a lock of pale hair tied with a ribbon. The basement is the darkest place in Blackwood House. Stone walls, a rusted furnace, water on the floor that never fully dries, an archway that leads into a second darkness. People who go down there report a pressure in their chest, a feeling of being counted. On the stairs, that small shoe still appears in photographs, even after it has been removed. Footprints form in dust where no one has walked. They lead to a closed door. They do not lead back. Investigators bring tools, recorders, cameras, EMF meters that scream red in empty air, night vision that turns the hallway the color of sickness. In one frame, 2 points of stare back, eyes that do not belong to any living thing in the house. A Ouija board was used here only once. The planchette moved to yes. Then it spelled a name, Elise. Then it flew off the table. The session ended. The people who held the session refused to return. What lives in the Blackwood House? Some believe it is Elise, a child who never understood that she died. A lonely presence that opens doors and whispers names because she wants company. Others believe Margaret never left the attic chair, that grief can stain a place more permanently than blood. And a few believe something else arrived the night Elise disappeared. Something that learned the shape of a family. Something that wears the house like a coat. There is one more night that should be told. In 2019, a team of 4 returned with better equipment. Thermal cameras, motion sensors, continuous audio. They marked the house room by room. For the first 2 hours, nothing moved. That is how this place works. It lets you relax. It lets you joke. It lets you believe you are only filming dust. At 12:41, a sensor in the nursery triggered. The thermal camera showed a small cold mass beside the bed. Not a person, a shape the size of a child, lingering, then sinking into the mattress as if the bed had swallowed it. At 1:17, footsteps crossed the hallway outside the kitchen. 3 investigators were in the living room. The 4th was in the basement. No one was in the hall. The audio is clear. Slow steps, then a pause, then a knock on the wall, 4 times. At 2:03, the attic chair began to rock. The microphone on the beam above it recorded wood against wood, a rhythm, almost a lullaby. One investigator climbed the stairs and asked quietly, "Elise, are you here?" The rocking stopped. 10 seconds of silence. Then a voice, thin as paper, answered from the corner of the attic. Not a full sentence, only 2 words. Go down. They should not have listened. In the basement, the air changed. The furnace room grew so cold that breath became fog. The archway at the back of the cellar seemed closer than before. One camera pointed into that dark and captured nothing, until a frame analysis later showed a taller shadow behind the investigator. A second pair of legs, a second head, standing where there was no one standing. They left at 2:48. One of them refused to speak on the drive home. Another developed nightmares of a window and a child's face that would not blink. The audio from the attic was sent to 3 independent analysts. 2 said it was contamination. 1 said the waveform did not match any of the living people in the house. Blackwood House does not perform on command. It collects. It studies the people who enter. It learns the sound of their names. Skeptics will tell you old wood settles, pipes knock, wind finds cracks, cameras catch dust and insects, minds invent patterns because silence is unbearable. They may be right, but then you hear your name from a room you know is empty. Then a door that was locked stands open. Then a child's face appears in a rain-streaked window, and the eyes do not blink. If you ever find this house, do not call out. Do not ask who is there. The house will answer, and once it knows you are listening, it does not like to be ignored. Stay in the light as long as you can, because in the Blackwood House, the dark is not empty. It is occupied, and it has been waiting a very long time for someone new to come inside. Before we leave this house, there are details the official reports tried to bury. Small things, the kind of things that only matter when you put them in a row. In the nursery closet, investigators found chalk marks on the inner wall, tally marks, 27 of them. No one knows who made them or what they were counting. In the kitchen drawer, beneath rusted utensils, someone had hidden a handwritten note. The ink was faded. The handwriting belonged to a child. It said only, "She comes when the clock stops." The cemetery behind the house holds a stone with no last name, only Elise and a year of birth. There is no year of death. The plot was never closed with a second date, as if the family could not admit the story was finished. Neighbors in the nearest occupied house, almost a mile down the road, have called the sheriff more than once, not because they saw a person, because they heard a girl singing after midnight, a thin, repeating tune. When deputies arrived, the mansion was dark and locked. The singing had already stopped. One deputy wrote in his notes that the front porch light was on, even though the property has had no electrical service for decades. Photographs taken from the road at dusk sometimes show an extra window lit on the second floor. When those same photographers return in daylight, that window is boarded. It has been boarded for years. People who enter with recorders often capture a sound they cannot place. Not a voice, wet inhale, very close to the microphone, as if something leaned in to listen to the machine that was listening to it. There is a pattern to the activity. It grows when the house is acknowledged. It grows when you speak the name Elise. It grows when you ask questions. Silence is safer. Curiosity is a door. And this house knows how to use a door. If this were a film, the ending would be clean. The investigators would leave, the credits would roll, the audience would go home and laugh the fear away. Real places are not that kind. Real places stay. The Blackwood House is still standing. The porch still sags. The cemetery still breathes fog in the late hours. And somewhere inside, a chair still knows the rhythm of a child who never came back to bed. So if these pictures stay with you tonight, if you think you hear a step in your own hallway after the video ends, do not answer it. Turn on every light you own. And remember the warning that has outlived every family who ignored it. Do not go inside after dark. Do not answer if something calls your name.